What's going on YouTube? So as you probably know, GM is in the process of rolling out the new generations of all their full-size SUVs. Now we've been in the new Tahoe and the new Escalade so far, so that means last but certainly not least, we have this Yukon Denali. For many people, it's the Yukon that has always had the best combination of style and luxury. And this new generation is definitely taking a big leap forward in both those regards. So with that all said, let's go ahead and jump straight into the review. Now for the Yukon, GMC sells about 60% in the Denali trim level. So that of course is what they have launched this new generation with. So here with this Denali, what you're gonna get is that signature really large grille. Of course we're finished in a satin silver here. And compared to the last generation, you really have a lot more intricate details inside of the grille, a lot of different shapes and types of textures, which I think looks really cool. Of course, you got the thick surround all around through there, and that leads right into the headlights. Now these are really, really nice looking. Kind of like the new Escalade, they've got a lot of details inside of them in a three-dimensional look. So you've got the stacked crystals and then the bracket-shaped LED daytime running light and turn signal. Plus, I squat down here, we have full LED fog lights, which is something you cannot get on the Tahoe or the Escalade. Now one good thing that did carry over for this new generation is that you have a ton of different wheel options for the Denali. So what you come standard with is a 20-inch alloy, but I imagine most people are going to opt for one of the 22-inch options. These are the ones that come in the premium package, but there are a lot more options that range some really crazy looking designs, and those are available for about $3,000 extra. Now as we move up here, we have our GMC branding. We have Denali spelled out real nice and big. And then up here at our mirrors, they are body colored. And of course, since this is a luxury SUV, you've got all the features on board. So they are power folding, they're auto dimming here on the driver's side. They are heated, and we have blind spot monitoring. Now you may notice that this Yukon does look a little bit longer than it was last year and a little bit bigger. And that's because it actually is. It's up 6.1 inches in length over the previous generation Yukon, and that's going to benefit you a lot in terms of the space on the inside as well as the cargo department. Now as far as other things to mention here at the side, of course this is a Denali, so you're going to get some chrome trim. You have the chrome window surrounds, chrome door handles, and then here at the bottom we do also have a nice chrome accent. Now as far as your suspensions, this is just going to have the magnetic ride. However, it's not available right now, but later it will also have an optional air suspension. And then walking around to the Yukon Denali's rear design. I don't know, I haven't quite made up my mind yet, but I think this may be the best looking version between the Escalade and the Tahoe, because I really just am a big fan of the way this looks. You have this signature GMC bracket shaped LED taillight. That's going to be standard. We also have this big chrome piece on the Denali, and then dropping down, another Denali exclusive feature are these quad exhaust outlets. That's something you don't even get on the Escalade, and I really think it just sets off the very premium look of this Yukon Denali. Now since this Denali is pretty much a full-blown luxury truck, you're going to have all of the safety systems besides adaptive cruise control standard across the board. Now if you want that adaptive cruise system, that's going to be included in the advanced technology package for this Denali model. So as you can see, there are a lot of big changes on the outside, but I hear there are a lot more changes on the inside. So now let's go ahead and check that out. Now walking up to the all-new Yukon, you will find the brand new General Motors key fob, and of course you have standard smart entry as well as standard remote start. Now to get inside the vehicle itself, there's not a sensor behind the handle, so just press the silver button. Now check out this cabin, guys. This is where the big feature of the Denali comes in, and that's because unlike really any vehicle I've ever reviewed before in my entire life, this actually has a totally different interior layout for the Denali model. So you'll notice the entire dashboard really is totally different from the other trim levels of the Yukon, and the luxury factor has really been upped a lot. Now with the Denali, GMC does give you several different design themes that you can choose between, all of which come with the special perforated leather. It is the wide grain kind, so definitely really nice quality. And you've got the choice between jet black, dark walnut, or light shale options. Like I said, we have special stitching and piping throughout. And then the different color schemes, they also come with different open pore wood designs. Now turning over here to your door trim, it is of course very upscale. We have a large amount of this large grain leather that runs through here with a cross stitching detail. We've got more leather that runs all around and along the top. And then through the middle here, we have a really large and lovely piece of open pore wood. Now as far as your windows, these are going to be one-touch auto up and down for the driver and passenger, auto down for the back two windows. And then you've obviously got standard two-person memory seating. Now heading down here to your seats, these are going to be 12-way power adjusting, of course standard on the Denali with 4-way lumbar support. And then like I was already saying, the seats themselves are made of premium leather. We've got more of that cross-stitching detail, which I think is really nice and interesting looking. And then we of course have the Denali embroidered up here into the seat itself. Now since this example here has the Denali premium package, we have power deploying running boards. Normally you would have fixed ones as standard equipment. These are obviously very large and make getting in super easy. So I have to say, from the second you get inside of this cabin, you are struck by the quality and beauty of this design. This is no longer just a upscale version of the regular Yukon. This is now a full luxury SUV. So across your entire dashboard, this is going to be finished in a genuine leather. Of course, you've got color contrast stitching. You've got some really nice layering going on for the Denali since it has a totally different dashboard design, like I already mentioned. Through the middle, we have a gigantic piece of this open pore wood, which looks and feels absolutely lovely. Of course, we've got more leather that runs all through this middle tier. We've got more wood, more stitching. You have real aluminum that runs this direction here, and is also traced by a big piece of leather for you to rest your knee against. Everything else in here, like I said, genuine materials, and it fits together excellently. Now to start up the Yukon Denali, of course, you have standard push button start. Now once it fires up here, you will be greeted with the premium gauge cluster design. It does have a nice squared off look, similar to what you get in the Sierra. And in the middle, you have a 7-inch reconfigurable display that does contain all types of information. And at the top there, you have your virtual gauges as well. Now, in addition to that, this Denali, since we have every possible option, we also have the advanced technology package, and that's going to include this 15-inch head-up display. Now coming back to the steering wheel itself, of course we have electric power assisted steering and a nice leather wrapped wheel. On the Denali, we have special Denali branding as well as this real aluminum trim that traces all through here. You will find standard heating as well as standard power adjustment. Alright, so now let's go ahead and roll into interior storage, where, as you'd expect, the Yukon Denali definitely excels. So let's go ahead and open the center console here. It is absolutely massive. Like I said, you would pretty much expect that. We have a large tray that we can get rid of. And then once inside, we have just a ton of space and a nice rubber lining down at the bottom that you can take out and clean. Got my coupons. I'm gonna stick this giant stack in there and it just swallows it up, no problem whatsoever. Now inside, we've got a couple USB ports. And we've got quite a bit more storage from here. So we can open that up. That's for our 2 cup holders. Then we have another really large storage bin. It is a wireless phone charger as well, with 2 more USBs and a 12-volt outlet. Now furthermore, as you'd expect, we have storage along the sides here. We also have a lot of storage inside of the door trims as well. Though I will mention that we no longer have any hidden storage up here in the dashboard. The previous generation, as you remember, the screen would pop out of the way and you could hide stuff behind it. That is no longer available. Oh, and before I move on from this part, I do want to mention the sliding center console. You probably saw that in some of the media stuff when it was first unveiled. That's not yet available in the Yukon. That's going to be late availability, so later in the year you will be able to option that on. So this one has all of the features that are currently available to add to the Yukon, but that will be added later on. Now turning our attention up to the shifter, of course this now has the push button style to replace the old column shifter, so that does get it out of the way. Unlike the Escalade, it has a kind of a more traditional one down here in the console. This does free up your console space and keeps the shifter up and out of the way. Now operation is very easy. You're just going to pull the D for drive. You can do some manual shifting down here with these little toggles, but there's not going to be any paddle shifters. And then for reverse, you're going to do the same thing. Now taking a look over here at the camera, just like in some previous General Motors vehicles, this camera system is really, really good. It's made up of 9 different cameras, and the resolution in here is extremely clear. You have a lot of different views that you can switch between, and overall I'm definitely very impressed with the camera system. It is standard on the Denali as well. Alright, so the next thing to check out will be our climate controls. This is obviously going to be a standard 3-zone automatic setup. Very simple to use. We have physical buttons for all the controls and big knobs. Additionally, you will find both 3-stage heated seats as well as 3-stage ventilated seats standard on the Denali, and you have separate butt and back controls for the heating. And then up above that, we have our audio controls. Now with the Denali, you'll be getting a 14-speaker Bose Centerpoint premium sound system, which I will point out is 4 more speakers than you get on a Tahoe High Country. So it is a slightly better system. So let's go ahead and take a sample of it. Yeah, overall sound quality of this system is definitely excellent and befitting of a luxury SUV. Alright, so now we are here at our display. Of course, like we talked about numerous times, with the Denali, the big deal is the totally different dashboard. So, what you normally have on the Yukon will be a floating display, but here on the Denali, it moves down into the dashboard and then the vents move up to the top. Now, as far as the display itself, it is actually the same size as the standard floating display. It's going to be 10.2 inches, although I feel like it looks a little bit bigger when it's integrated into the dashboard itself. Now, what's the software that you're running here is going to be the latest General Motors Infotainment 3 system. So it is very fast and very smooth, and you have the newest graphics on board. Here on the Denali, of course, you will have standard navigation, and one of the big standout features is that you'll have standard wireless Android Auto and standard wireless Apple CarPlay on all the trim levels of the Yukon as well. Now moving on up here, we do have an auto dimming mirror, and of course, since we have the Denali Premium package, that's also going to throw in the rear camera mirror system. Up top here, we have your 3 helmet universal remotes. You have buttons where you can power fold the third row, and you will find a button for the panoramic moonroof. So that, of course, is brand new to the Yukon lineup, and it is available as part of that Denali premium package. Now, hopping into the Yukon Denali's rear seat. You may be curious, since this is a pretty expensive vehicle, how this compares to the Escalade in terms of luxury, and I'm going to have to, say this really doesn't feel much different. So definitely don't think that this is much of a downgrade over the Escalade. However, so let's go ahead and talk about the individual features. Now, as far as the space itself, it's going to be 42 inches of rear legroom, 39 inches of rear headroom. That's a lot of space. It's up over 3 inches over the previous generation Yukon, thanks to that new independent rear suspension. So as far as behind rear seating position, I have 7 to 8 inches of rear legroom. My feet can easily slide up underneath the seat. So this is definitely a lot of space and a lot of comfort for the second row passengers. Now, you will also notice that on the Denali we do have standard captain's chairs, so that's another feature worth pointing out. And for the first time, you can also slide these captain's chairs with a range of motion of 5.5 inches. Now, as far as your feature set, in the middle we do have cup holders in the top. We do also have our own climate controls for the rear. And then also on the Denali we have standard 3-stage heated rear seats. Then dropping down, we have a lot of outlets. So on the very bottom we have a regular 115 volt household style outlet. And then we also have 2 USB Type-Cs up here. We have also 2 HDMI ports because this particular tester is equipped with the optional dual 12.6 inch rear seat entertainment system. This is a $2,000 option, and this is actually the first new GM truck that we've seen with this. And I have to say, it's very impressive seeing it in person. It's a very high resolution display. It's a touchscreen. And this is just a really big improvement over the previous display just hanging down here in the middle. Now let's go ahead and check out the third row, because this is a huge improvement for this all-new Yukon model. Now, to get back here, they have really made it super simple. So all you have to do is locate this little lever right here, pull it once. As you can see, it folds down and kind of slides down, and then pull it once more and it will pop out of place and out of the way. So this makes getting in super duper easy for this all-new Yukon. Now, getting back here, this is just an area I want to emphasize for you guys who maybe previously owned a Yukon. This is nothing like the old one, because we have that new independent rear suspension, which gives us over 40% more space in terms of legroom. So we're having 35 inches of rear legroom, 38 inches of rear headroom, but the bigger thing is the thigh support. Look at the thigh support. This is a regular Yukon. This isn't the XL model, and look at how comfortable I am back here. This is a fantastic third row. Lots of thigh support, lots of comfort. Now, off to the side, we do also have cup holders, a USB Type-C, and up top we do even have vents. All right, so now let's go ahead and discuss the cargo area for this all-new Yukon Denali. Now, before we get back there, I do also want to mention that you can pop the rear glass for this all-new model, which is something I'm really glad that they have not eliminated for these all-new GM trucks. Now, as far as getting into the tailgate itself, you are going to have a standard hands-free power one on the Denali. So all you have to do is locate the little sensor and kick up under the bumper, and it does open right up. Now, as far as your space, the independent rear suspension doesn't just help the third row and second row space, it also helps the cargo area. So behind the third row, you're going to have 26 cubic feet of space. If you fold it, it's going to be 73 cubic feet, and if you fold all the seats, you're going to have an absolutely massive 123 cubic feet of cargo space. And keep in mind, this is the regular Yukon model. This is not even the XL. Now, I do want to point out, though, as far as how that's improved over the previous generation, that's up 66% behind the third row, so really massive benefits in terms of this all-new model. Now, as far as how they finished it, we have carpeting along the floor. If we lift up the floor, we have a little bit of space. We've actually noticed that this is useful for something like an umbrella to sit up underneath of the floor. And then off to the side, we have a regular household style outlet, as well as buttons for our standard power folding third row, and you can also fold the second row from right here.
Now on this Denali Yukon, you are going to have a standard power adjusting passenger seat. And then as far as the glove box is concerned, it's not a massive glove box. I would have liked to have seen it bigger for such a large vehicle, but let's see if the coupons can fit in. They do fit in just fine, so you're definitely not going to have any issues for the coupons, but it could have been bigger for sure. And then up top, we do have a massive sun visor. It does have LED lighting as well as a really large mirror, and it can also detach and extend.
So I've got a bit of unfortunate news for you guys. These types of things do happen from time to time when you're filming the latest cars that just now arrive at dealerships, but you'll see, sold, and the one we just had, sold. All 3 units were sold basically upon delivery to this dealership. We squeezed in what we could, but these units are on their way to their new owners right now, so we're not going to be able to bring you the driving component, unfortunately. But rest assured, we will drive a Yukon as soon as we can. More of them will be coming in over the next month or so, and maybe some different trim levels as well. Now, I do want to still spend time to talk to you guys about the powertrain and all the stuff that you will need to know about the Yukon anyways. Now, we have driven the Tahoe, so a lot of it will be similar to that model as well. So let's kind of just talk a bit about what's under the hood. Now, with the Denali model, you skip the 5.3 liter V8, so you're going to go straight to the 6.2 liter V8, just like in the Escalade. That's going to have 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque. Definitely excellent numbers, and again, the same as the Escalade, so that's definitely nice that GMC includes that. That powertrain setup is the same as last year, and you are paired with a 10-speed automatic transmission as well. Now, that's not the only powertrain setup you can get. You can actually now get a turbo diesel option. That will be available a little later in the year from now, but you will be able to get that turbo diesel as well as the 5.3 liter V8 if you go for one of the lower trim levels. All right, so we're first taking off in this 2021 Tahoe. It is all new, of course, the main body of it, but the powertrain is actually carry over. So this is the standard engine. It's still the 5.3 liter V8. You're looking at 355 horsepower, 383 pound-feet of torque. Same as last year. There have been some adjustments to like the active fuel management, but the power numbers are the same as last year. I do also want to talk to you guys about how this drives. Now, I can't obviously confirm to you 100% how this drives because I wasn't behind the wheel, but knowing that there's a lot of common componentry with the Tahoe, which we did drive last week, I do feel I can describe at least a little bit of how it feels. So of course, we've been talking about it a lot, the independent rear suspension. That's going to pay benefits as far as how the Yukon drives.
Yeah.
So as Mason mentioned when he was going over the rear areas, we've moved to an independent rear suspension. So that's going to pay benefits in the way that it rides, in addition to big benefits in the way it's packaged.
Yeah.
Here on the Premier, we also have magnetic ride control. So that is an excellent system we've seen in other General Motors products, and it really changes the way that things ride. Compared to the outgoing generation, this feels a lot less springy and bouncy. So when you go over like the bridge there, you're having the adjustment that's happening, right in milliseconds, and it really keeps things under control. You don't have this bouncing sensation, you don't sway around. It really makes something that's huge, this is a huge vehicle, but makes it feel like a lot more maneuverable and less just gigantic. Now, your other important numbers, that of course is the pricing, because you're probably wondering how much will all this luxury ring up to be. So there's 2 trims on sale right now. It's going to be SLT and Denali. So the SLT with 2-wheel drive is going to start at $57,800. The Denali, $68,400. Adding 4-wheel drive is going to add $3,000 to both of those price tags. Now, the example that we reviewed today, that, like I said, fully loaded with every option currently available in the Denali lineup. And that brings us to a total price of $81,850. So a very expensive SUV, no doubt, but as we've talked about through this whole thing, it's not just a tarted up Yukon anymore. The Denali is really genuinely through and through a full-fledged luxury SUV that you can cross-shop with all types of luxury nameplates.
Well guys, that's all for this in-depth look at the all-new 2021 GMC Yukon Denali. We really enjoyed filming this all-new truck, and if you're interested in the Yukon as well as any of the other rivals like the Tahoe, or its siblings, the Tahoe, Escalade, or any of its rivals, we have all those videos on our channel right now, so be sure to check those out, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.